So if we take a second, this first question asks if a child is in the 60th percentile for height, what does that mean? Okay. And so I kind of like to think of it as like a number line, which, you know, you do you. If 50 percentile, we're going to call that like average. Okay. So um, if I'm in the 50th percentile for weight of um, middle aged men, you know, that's all right with me. Um, if I'm in the 90th percentile of weight for middle aged men, then I would like to probably change something up. 60th percentile for height would put you over here, right, on a number line. If you're in that 60th percentile, specifically what that means for your, if this is a child, is that there are sorry, I don't know why I'm fumbling on my words right now. 60% of children that are the same age will be short. So as you can see, we are to the right of the average. So this child, first of all, is taller. This child is taller than average. And it's, going to be taller than 60% of children. Um, and so hopefully that's making some sense. The specific answer key says 60% of children who are the same age as that child will be shorter. So you can think about it as they are taller than 60% of children, or 60% of children are shorter than them. It's kind of how you phrase it, is where you want to be at. I usually always come back to the mean. So like, okay, I'm on the right side of the mean. That I'm on the right side of the average. So that means I'm, taller or heavier, or if it's IQ, you'd be smarter than the mean, whatever that means. Um, so this where, so that's just kind of understanding like what is going on with percentile. Now this is actually coming into calculating the percentile, which hopefully the equation up here is going to make a little bit of sense. So I got a couple people dropping in the. All right, so um, we're looking at if somebody scores a 77% on it, or it doesn't have to be out of 100, but if they score a 77 on a test in a class of 20 people, what is their percentile rank? So classic mistake here is people are just going to say, oh, they're in the 77th percentile. Um, if there was 100 people and they all scored from 1 to 100, then sure. Yeah, like if 1 was a score, 2 was a score, 3 was a score for all the 100 people, then sure, that'd be right. But a 77 is not necessarily the 77th percentile. Okay. And so you can, again, if you put this into Excel or Google Sheets and sort it, that'd be a lot easier here. But if we look at the equation up here, that percentile, so I'm going to write the word percentile, is going to equal to the number of data less than X. So I'm just going to copy it down. So the number of data less than 77. So X is my 77. And then N is going to be the number of people. So divided by 20 times 100. So we're not ready to actually calculate anything yet because we still have to figure out the number of data less than 77. So I'm just going to go, brute force again, not put it in Excel. So 64, that's less, that's 1. 75, less. 77 is the same as 77. It specifically says less than, so I'm not going to cross that off. 71 is less, 55, 62, 61, and 73. So if I count those up, that puts me at, am I missing one? Oh, 52 right there in the middle. 52 right there. So another reason why Excel would be better. So there is 8 data points less than the number I'm looking for. So there is 8 people less than 77. So the actual percentile here, the equation, is going to be equal to 8 over 20 times 100. So if we had, if you'll have a calculator, so you can just kind of do that there, but that reduces to 4 over 10 times 100, which that would be 0.4 times 100, which would be the 40th percentile. So if we did take all those numbers, feel free to drop in the chat the answer to this question. Is this person better than the mean, better than the average, or worse than the average, you would say? Based off of that blue information, by them being in the 40th percentile, are they doing better than the average, or are they doing worse than the average if they are in the 40th percentile? So a lot of people dropping in the worst, and that is correct. They're doing worse than the average. And so you kind of want to be careful, like where, depending on the question, like, if you're in the 10th percentile, that might be great. If you're like in the, well, I don't know where that would necessarily be great. I've always wanted to be thin, so maybe if I was in the 10th percentile for weight, that'd be great. But uh, that's not a good example. So usually you want to be in the upper portion of the percentile. So 40th percentile, maybe you want to be less than the mean, but most people probably want to be better than the mean. So 40th percentile would be worse than the mean. That video went way longer than it needed to, so thanks for hanging in there all the way to the end.